Hey Tyson, what's happening, man? Just wanted to take you behind the scenes here a little bit and hopefully show you visually what happens in this process of you raising your hand and saying, "Hey, I like this property," and you even going so far as to going out and scoping it out over the weekend. Good job, you. I'm hoping that intel was time well spent in the investment of what you're after. I know it is. I'm hoping that you can confirm that for both of us. And then, of course, my role is to take it back the next step and provide my unique ability, which is, among other things, being able to qualify as much as quantify where this property sits, especially in this game of in this land of suggested retail prices out there, which you even alluded to is probably the case of what's going on here on this one, not being the price that this home will ever sell for. So one of the things I pay handsomely for is this program, which takes all of the data, which all of us agents have access to, and then aggregates it and quantifies it in very unique perspectives so that we can then look at it visually, from a 7-year-old, look at lines and charts and graphs and make things very understandable, easily understandable. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, one of the challenges that you'll see right off the bat here with this type of home, and we're going to see this across the board on any ones that we pursue henceforth, is the lack of data. Okay, so it makes programs like this even more valuable. And you'll see, look, there's even gaps here where there was no activity at all. And so, but sold prices clipping up a little bit. Looks like the for sale and property sold clipping back and towards that homeostasis that you'd like to see for normalized. And you got to also appreciate the time right now. A lot of what is going to go into these numbers, either going north or south, probably more south than north. The fact that we ran up the last 14 months, ending off at the end of fall in 2010. With a 14-month run-up. We actually led the entire union for price run-up. And then it dipped off. There was that classic buyback period where it fell off the face. And then you had that then falling into the first quarter of the year, which is always historically terrible. So you had double back-to-backs. And right now what we're seeing is a boom, a huge jump, about 26% in last month coming back up. And we'll see a trend of that for the spring and the summer months as well. But look, under contract property, and by the way, this is just two to four units right in Golden Hill, just so you know. This is like super specified data. Sold properties relatively flat. Look, you're dealing at a maximum jump of 2 properties sold in 1 month, right? So we did have a jump up, though, with properties listed. And expired properties, isn't that funny? That's flipping you off. How apropos. Not really much to see from the supply and demand chart other than that spike in available properties. And then days of market actually dropping significantly off of what would be normalized period, let alone for this market. And then inventory, much of the same. So moving on over here now to the actual comps on the MLS. There's no solds going back 90 days. So all we're doing is drawing inferences from our competition and from the folks that are in contract and already in escrow. Not much of a picture to speak of. Almost a null effect here for the GSI. And the price itself. You quantify this on the CMA, and you're not going to read much of a pattern here. 275, right? 332 and 209 respectively. So the challenge I see with this is the fact of where it's at, right? So the CMA is not going to do us much good because I'm quantifying 1 mile radius, north, south, east, and west from the rooftop on this B Street property. So really, there's us. Really, the only other comp that seems like it's in the ballpark here is this guy over on Broadway. With proximity, to the views and the typography of being perched up there. As little as a perch as it is, still perched up, 2 unit. And you can see from this guy right here, this is another 1 building, 2 unit, built beginning of the century. It's right now a short sale that's in contract. the list price of 489, 250, it could be a little confusing in the sense that we don't really know what they could be. Short sales are even tougher than pendings because you really don't know what they're in contract for. They could have been playing the game as well. But I got to believe that's probably pretty accurate as to where they are, because I think it only hopped on the market there for about 15 days before one jumped into contract. You'll see the outside was a great shape, well manicured grounds, and then inside is just decked. Deck the halls with all kinds of jolly, right? All the exposed wood accoutrements. This is classic, well kept, early century San Diego stuff. I don't even know if that kitchen has actually been touched, structurally anyway. Some actual grounds. And then they've got this going on here, which, again, it makes it almost relic-esque. And then, of course, you're compounding that with its proximity there to downtown and subsequent view. It's even got the old clawfoot tiled up past the Wayne. I mean, this is a nice property. So it may be our best comp, but also at the same time, it's not a very good comp because, as you know, we're not really representing that, nowhere close. But to your comment about it, going 400 or more, not so sure about that. It'll be interesting to see where the property over on A Street ends up shaking out, which is backed up a little further up the street from our guy. It's further back into the Golden Hill, and then some of these other ones are just they're just down here languishing in the high twos. So I know why they listed at that, and while I do know it's going to go for higher than what they're listing at, I mean they've already gotten a handful of bids. I can guarantee you a handful of bids in the couple of days that they've had it on the market, and I guarantee you that it's going to be bid up past the asking price. Those are absolutes. To what tune though is going to be interesting. You might be able to scoop this thing up for 3.5, maybe 3 3/4, depending on if that one buyer who really knows how to place value on things is your competition or not. That's going to be the break there. So here's what I want you to do. Take this video, take the information contained herein, and shoot me a reply back with what your thoughts are, okay? Remember, we're not even at the Big Bad Kickoff Tour yet, so the goal here more than anything is to practice the habit of what we're after. So I want you to get your feedback now, if you have any more fodder than what you already shared with me, and come up with, if you're going to play God, play real estate agent, how much would you offer for this now knowing what you now know, okay? And then I'll give you my thoughts, and we'll take it from there. Thanks, buddy.